My mom forces me to eat 100 pounds of food every day. The more I eat, the more excited the viewers online get, and the more gifts they send. But the moment I slow down, the viewers lose interest and leave the live stream. Whenever that happens, my mom always pulls out her cancer diagnosis and tearfully tells me her cancer treatment costs a full 200,000. Seeing how pitiful she looks, only one thought crosses my mind: if it can cure my mom, anything is worth it. So no matter what my mom asks me to eat, I grit my teeth and force it down. But just as we've saved up half of the 200,000, something unexpected happens. A burger falls to the floor, cracking it open, and my stomach is churning so much I can't eat another bite. I thought my mom would feel sorry for me, but there's not a trace of worry on her face. Instead, she grabs a huge can of cream and forces it down my throat. What I didn't expect is that this scene drives the viewers wild with excitement. In less than 5 minutes, the live stream tips reach a full 200,000, but before we can even celebrate, the attic we're in suddenly collapses. Both my mom and I lose consciousness. When I wake up, I discover a shocking secret. My mom never had cancer at all. Her bald
Every night, the woman would put on her husband's clothes and dress up exactly like him. Just as she was about to leave, her phone suddenly rang. It was her secretary Mary calling to request a meeting. It turned out Julie was dressing up like this to meet Mary, her husband's secretary. Mary had already been waiting at the company for a long time and complained that Julie was too late. Afraid their meeting might be discovered, Julie nervously pulled the curtains shut. The meeting lasted all the way until morning, but she was very disappointed with the outcome. Mary comforted her, saying everything would be okay. Julie managed to get back into bed just before her husband woke up. When her husband David woke up and was about to wake his wife, he smelled men's cologne on Julie and could tell she hadn't slept all night. Suspecting something, David took action and eventually discovered that his beloved had deceived him. She drives out every night. She doesn't come home until the next morning, but instead of angrily confronting her, he didn't say a word because he had his own secret to hide. That day, David parked his car near a church. It wasn't on the way to work. He habitually straightened his cuffs, checked the time, and then his wife Julie suddenly called. She asked if he was free to talk, and he replied that he was in a meeting with clients. In reality, David was waiting in line for free breakfast. He hadn't told.
While I was pulling up my hair at night, I accidentally woke up my husband. In a fit of rage, he simply cut off my favorite long hair. I couldn't help but cry bitterly. Even worse, he kicked both me and the dog out of the house. Outside, a torrential rain was pouring down. With nowhere to go, I ended up on the streets. Suddenly, I spotted a dilapidated house. Though it looked eerie and terrifying, my dog was already freezing to death. With no choice, I opened the basement door and crawled inside. To my surprise, not only was water leaking everywhere, but the temperature wasn't much warmer than outside. The only advantage was that we weren't getting rained on anymore. The water was gushing rapidly from a pipe above. I had to block it quickly. I grabbed a chair to stand on, hoping to fix the pipe, but instead, I made the water spray even harder. The raging water spray quickly flooded the entire basement. Just when it seemed I would be submerged, my dog paddled over with tools. I quickly pulled him close and pulled out a pet grooming kit from the bag. I took out a dog brush, groomed the wet fur off my dog, then removed the damp fur from the brush, lifted it up, and shoved it directly into the pipe. To my surprise, the pipe was instantly fixed. Delighted, I grabbed some hairspray and reinforced.
60 years old. In order to win back my beautiful wife, I specially ordered a handsome guy human skin suit online. After confirming the order, I breathed a sigh of relief and immediately called my wife to arrange a meeting. But to my surprise, she not only didn't answer my call, she sent me a text saying that if she didn't see me within 5 seconds, she would divorce me. Luckily, my handsome guy suit arrived just in time. This is really perfect timing. I quickly put it on, disguised myself as a handsome young man, and started searching for my wife. I finally found her location under a beach umbrella, but what I never expected was that inside was a man who looked exactly like me. My wife was dumbfounded on the spot. More precisely, a man wearing the same handsome guy suit as me. I was instantly furious. I pounced on him immediately, intending to tear off his disguise right then and there. But no matter how hard I pulled at his face, I couldn't find any seam or opening on his mask. Even worse, he flipped me over and pinned me down, then tore off my handsome guy mask right in front of her. Now I was completely doomed. My wife immediately believed that he was the real husband, and that I was just a fake old man. Just then, my original suit floated back from the sea. Seeing this, my wife fainted on the spot from shock. The handsome man then revealed his true while sleeping. I was shocked to discover that my wife was actually an ugly old witch. Every night, she seals her youthful face inside a magic book, and only after making sure I haven't noticed, does she hide the book under the blanket, put on her sleeping mask, and go to sleep. After she fell asleep, I took a close look at her wrinkled, aged face, thinking about sharing a bed with her every night. I couldn't help but feel sick. But then she suddenly put on her mask and came to comfort me. I awkwardly replied that I was fine, which reassured her. The next night, I quietly woke up after she fell asleep and sneaked into her dressing room. Oh my god, it was filled with magic potions. Curious, I opened one and took a sniff. The smell was absolutely disgusting, like a toilet that hadn't been flushed for 3 days. Even stranger, I found a wooden handle in her closet. I walked over curiously and saw a gleaming magic broom. This further confirmed the fact that she was an old witch. Furious, I woke my wife and dragged her to the closet, demanding to know what the broom was for. My wife immediately smiled sweetly and said, the broom was for cleaning the house. I was both angry and helpless, so I stomped back to the bedroom in a huff. But then my wife straddled the broom, hopped on, and flew away. I saw everything through the keyhole. Furious, I vowed till I was running. The fat on my body suddenly burst out. Not only did others laugh at me, but worse, the woman I admired saw everything. Just as I was about to run away, I accidentally stepped on a dumbbell and fell flat on my back. Those two annoying guys nearby kept taking photos of me. When I was about to pretend to be unconscious to save face, an earthquake suddenly struck, and the ground split open. Luckily, the woman I admired managed to grab onto a concrete slab, desperately calling out to those two men for help, but they were already trembling in fear. At that moment, she couldn't hold on any longer. Her fingers were slipping one by one. Seeing her life hanging by a thread, I decided to put aside my pride. I stretched out my arms, instantly transforming into a Batman-like figure, using the fat on my back as a parachute, and successfully rescued her. After being saved, she excitedly wanted to hug me, but I felt deeply insecure in front of her. I knew someone like me didn't deserve her, but then she drew a line on my arm, telling me she would help me get plastic surgery. Turns out, she was a cosmetic surgeon. In the end, not only did I get rid of the excess fat that had troubled me for years, but I also found true love.
While taking the bus with my daughter, an old woman suddenly knitted us into yarn people. Before I could even react, she raised her long knitting needle and stabbed me. I instantly turned into a tiny yarn figure. Then she reached out and grabbed me directly, tossed me out the window in one go. Turns out, her real target was my daughter. I was getting washed around by the rain, but I quickly pulled some yarn from myself and threw it, hooking it onto the back of the bus. That way, I could escape the puddles and keep following the bus. Soon, the bus stopped. I saw the old woman getting off with my daughter. Suddenly, the bus pulled away, stretching the yarn attached to my leg longer and longer. I quickly cut the yarn and saw the old woman leading my daughter into an old, rundown house. I had to save her, but now my yarn leg was gone. Luckily, fate was on my side. There was a twig nearby. I leaped over, grabbed it, and stuck it into my broken yarn leg. Now I could walk again. I'm a genius. But getting into the old woman's house was another problem. I was still way too small. The window was too high for me. Then I spotted a spoon nearby, perfect for launching myself. I threw a rock onto the spoon's handle, and it catapulted me right into the house. Once inside, I realized I'm about to get married, but my best friend took out a pump and blew me up into a 500-pound balloon. Even worse, she snatched my wedding veil and plans to marry in my place. She also jammed the door handle with a broom, trapping me inside the room. I couldn't get out. Looking at my balloon-like body, I thought about piercing it with a hairpin, but my skin was just too tough. It wouldn't budge at all. Suddenly, I had a clever idea. I could tighten a waist trainer to squeeze the air out, but even using all my strength, only a tiny bit came out. I was so frantic, I started feeling dizzy. My own wedding was about to begin, and my best friend was the bride instead. Oh my god. I fainted on the spot from anger. While I was crying heartbroken tears, I suddenly smelled something foul. It was the cheese I'd thrown out last week. Seeing the toilet, I immediately had a brilliant idea. I grabbed the expired cheese, pinched my nose, held back the nausea, and swallowed it whole. Instantly, my stomach started reacting. I rushed to the toilet, and the gas inside me surged out uncontrollably, but the cheese effect didn't last long. Luckily, my clever eye spotted the plunger. I grabbed it, slammed it against myself, and the released air turned into a tornado, sweeping through the room. Find the perfect husband. A woman uses a truth flashlight to reveal the real appearance beneath the suitor's disguises. The first suitor not only wore a waist trainer to hide his large belly, but also covered his baldness with a wig. Such an ugly, deceitful man was exactly what the woman despised most. The second suitor was handsome and not bald, which pleased the woman greatly. Unfortunately, his physique was too average, and most critically, he was wearing a diaper. That kind of man also disgusted the woman to the core. She sent him to the dungeon without hesitation. open. Now only the last suitor remained, but just then, the truth flashlight ran out of batteries. The man broke into a nervous sweat. The woman didn't notice at all. She just asked him to wait a minute while she hurried to replace the batteries. Unbeknownst to her, the man took advantage of her distraction to ditch the poison he had originally prepared. Although a strange sound made the woman suspicious, the man kept his composure, and she didn't dwell on it further, especially when she shone the truth flashlight on him. The man's physique appeared authentically perfect, which satisfied the woman greatly. She immediately accepted his proposal, but right after putting on the wedding ring, the man was shocked to discover a button on the woman's back. Woman turned her wealthy husband into a one-ton heavy giant and never bathed him. That day, the woman blindfolded the rich man and told him to wait a minute. Then she walked into the next room, where I stood wrapped up like a package. The woman explained she had paid off all my debts, and now I had to take care of her husband in her place, while she went on vacation to enjoy life. I originally thought I'd just be a nanny for a few months, but when I saw Charlie, I almost threw up. I had never imagined someone could be this filthy, and the moment he opened his mouth, he said he was starving and needed to eat immediately. He really was desperate. Then he fished out a burger from under the bed and asked me to feed him. The intense stench made it hard to even keep my eyes open. I already regretted taking this job. I turned to leave, but he grabbed me, pleading with me not to go. Otherwise, he'd starve to death. Reluctantly, I agreed, but on one condition: he had to take a bath first. Charlie agreed, but his enormous size made even moving difficult, let alone getting up to shower. Luckily, I used to work at a car wash. Using all my strength, I managed to push him into the bathroom. I decided to treat him like a car to wash. When I lifted his arm, the smell hit me right in the
Order to become a billionaire. I married a nearly 70-year-old woman with a severely out-of-shape body, though it was a bit disgusting to look at. Thinking about inheriting her billions after she died, I got excited instantly. I never expected the old lady to immediately ask me for a kiss. Looking at her old face, I braced myself and leaned in. But what I never imagined was that, just 3 hours into our wedding night, she started getting younger and younger, even her skin becoming rosy and plump. Meanwhile, my eyes grew vacant, and my body felt drained, almost floating. If this goes on, I'm definitely doomed. Then I suddenly noticed her wheelchair. A flash of inspiration hit me. I had a brilliant idea. I offered to push her outside for a walk. When we reached the stairs, I would push her down, but just as I was about to shove her, she grabbed me, and we both tumbled down together. I ended up bruised and swollen all over, while she was completely unharmed. She's got to be just too tough to kill. Then she suggested taking a hot bath. Even though her suggestion made me feel a wave of disgust, I prepared the water and let her soak. Seeing her so comfortable gave me another idea. I planned to make the water scalding hot, to give her a heart attack. Undetectable and untraceable, what a genius I was. I immediately turned on the hottest water. Soon it was boiling. My
husband is a control freak. Every night he has to fall asleep holding my hair in his mouth to escape this creep. I cut off my beloved braid and quietly slipped away to keep him from noticing I was gone. I even stuffed a large pillow next to him, seeing him eating it with relish. I finally breathed a sigh of relief, but just as I reached the door, I found a bodyguard standing outside. I immediately pulled out scissors and snipped right through his belt. The guard frowned in shock, then bolted with his pants half on. I seized the chance to slip past. When I got to the staircase, I saw another bodyguard post below. He looked very alert. This time, I definitely couldn't cut his belt. Just then, I noticed the earlier bodyguard had retied his pants. I knocked him out cold with a bottle, then took off my nightgown and put on his clothes instead. They were a bit loose and ill-fitting, so I grabbed some toilet paper nearby, crumpled it into balls, and stuffed them inside my clothes for bulk. Finally, I used hand soap to slick my hair into a slicked back style. I look totally awesome right now. Next, I plucked off the bodyguard's mustache and stuck it above my own lip. Then I confidently walked over. I signaled for the bald guy to go rest first, because